Okay. Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. Good morning. On behalf of Travel Magazine, my colleague Jonas and myself, welcome to the last webinar we produce every month together with Turespaña, BeLux in Brussels. And this time it's with Galicia. And it's the last one before summer. Summer has started already, but we take a break in August and we will come back, but I will announce that later, end of September. So today it's all about Galicia, and the introduction will be done as Rafael Chamorro, the director of Turespaña, is excused today. So it's up to Judith Portela, promotion and travel industry relations responsible in Brussels, who takes the floor to welcome you. Judith, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Robert. Welcome, everyone. As Robert said, my name is Judith Portela, and I'm in charge of the promotion with travel agents and tour operators at the Spanish Tourist Board in Brussels. I will share with you my contact details in case you need to get in touch with us. First of all, on behalf of our director, Rafael Chamorro, and myself, I would like to thank all of you for the hard work you do helping us reestablishing tourism in Spain. We know it's not been easy for you, so don't hesitate to get in touch with our team if we can be of any help. Now I would like to introduce the guest destination of today. As Robert said, it's Galicia. It's one of the regions of what we call Green Spain, and the name comes, of course, because of the amazing green landscape, but also Galicia offers charming fishing villages, a rich gastronomy based on local produce, and an astonishing coastline. I'll leave you discover more of this region with Sandra Mayan, our colleague from the Regional Tourist Board. But before giving her the floor, I would like to wish you all very nice summer break, and we'll see each other in September. Sandra, the floor is yours. Thanks for being with us today.
Hello, everyone. As Judith just said, I'm Sandra Mayan. I represent the Tourist Board of Galicia, which aim is to promote our small region as a tourist destination. And what you're about to hear and see is a training course for those of you who have never been to Galicia, or to know a little bit more about us, okay? It's having a first contact with lots of pictures, so you can know what are we talking about, okay? Please take into account that the first few slides do not have any sound, so don't worry. So let's take it from here, and let's start now.
This is a very important picture to start with. This is Cape Finisterre. This place has three names. In Spanish, Finisterre. In Galician, which is the real name, Fisterra. And in Latin, which was the language of the Romans, Finisterrae. And all the three mean the same thing, the end of the known world. Because it was not until the end of the 15th century, when the Spaniards arrived in America, that the Western concept of the world changed. Till then, since Romans' time, they thought the world ended here in Galicia. And this gives us a perfect image of what Galicia is, a remote country, surrounded by mountains, a country that is very difficult to reach. We are not on the way to anywhere, but we are a final destination. We are going to do a general review of what Galicia is. Let's start with the landscape. Galicia belongs to what is called Green Spain, 4 regions, those in the north. Basque Country, Cantabria, Asturias, and Galicia, where the landscape is more similar to Central and Northern Europe. Galicia is compared with Scotland in the UK or with the French Brittany. This landscape is the result of our climatology, an oceanic climate, which means that it's not very cold in the winter and not very hot in the summer either. And it is green because it rains often in the winter times. It snows very little, only in the high mountains. Valleys and mountains spread all over the territory. Our mountains are not too high, as the highest peak is less than 2,200 meters above sea level. The forests are of a high environmental quality. Galicia is also a very important rural culture. Galicians like to live above all in the countryside. The phenomenon of living in the cities is virtually a 20th century phenomenon. Galicia is also known as the country of the 1,000 rivers land. When traveling through Galicia, you will see that there's a lot of water everywhere, fresh and salty. Let's see what the sea is like. The Galicia has the largest coastline in kilometers within Spain, a very uneven coastline with 1,400 kilometers, over 900 beaches, more than any other region in the rest of Spain. Two types of coastline. This one you see here is open sea with wild coastline where some of the last virgin beaches of Spain and Europe are preserved. And we have a unique phenomenon, only comparable to the Norwegian fjords. In Galicia, we call them rias. In fact, in Galician, we have two words, rio, which means fresh water, and ria, in feminine, means salty water. These are river valleys that have been flooded and where the sea penetrates inland. This is where the quiet beaches and family beaches are. In this picture, what you see floating on the sea are floating marine farms dedicated to the production of oysters, scallops, and mainly mussels, and we have about 3,000 of these. The rias are natural factories of high-quality fish and seafood for which Galicia is famous. Let's talk now about the population. Spain has 47 million inhabitants. Galicia has 2,700,000. But we have a very curious and unique way of populating the territory. With only the 6% of the Spanish surface and only 2,700,000 inhabitants, we have 50%, that means half, of all the inhabited villages of Spain. Some of them very small. A very humanized territory with houses everywhere. That's because Galicians like to live alone in the countryside. It's an individual character. And in addition, the territory allows it because there's plenty of water and for the good quality of the soil. Within these 2,700,000 inhabitants, we have 7 cities, 2 in the north, Ferrol and A Coruña, 2 in the center, Santiago and Lugo, and 3 in the south, Pontevedra, Vigo, and Ourense. The most populated cities are Coruña and Vigo, with approximately 300,000 inhabitants. And those are the real economic motors of Galicia. Santiago de Compostela is the capital for historical reasons. Small cities, very comfortable cities, and above all, very safe. And now we're going to see what these cities are. Starting from La Coruña, located in the north coast. And here we are going to see a construction element repeated in all the cities and in all the Galician villages, the white glass window galleries. These work like natural heating, since they collect the heat during the hours of the sun and then distribute it to the rest of the house. Almost all the Galician cities are of Roman origin, such Lugo. And here you're going to see 2 other very important construction elements. Granite, which we see here on the walls, the pavements, and the black slate that you can see on the rooftops. Galicia exports slate and granite all over the world. Let's see another photograph of Lugo, which is the cathedral built with granite stones. And we're moving on to another city, also inland in the south, Ourense. Here we see the last construction element, the Arabic tile, which here we call it the Galician tile. So Galician cities are made of granite, slate, galleries, and tile. And this is another view from Ourense, and this is the cathedral. The next city, also in the south, Pontevedra. As you can see, the construction elements that we use in Galicia are very resistant. That's why our historical centers, our old areas, are quite well preserved. Generally, the historical centers are almost all pedestrian. That's where the charming hotels are, the terraces, the cafes, very lively places. Pontevedra is the European Union city that has more pedestrianized area according to the size of the city. And here you see the sanctuary of La Peregrina, which is the patron saint of the city. And this is Ferrol, going back north again. I was telling you that the Galician cities were almost all Roman founded. This is a city originated in the 18th century in order to create the Spanish naval base on the northern coast. This is a ria, the ria of Ferrol, and you see the cities on the back. And here we have, you see two castles, the castle of San Felipe and the castle of La Palma. They were built in order to defend Ferrol from the British pirates. Vigo, the largest city in Galicia, one of the economic engines, a modern, dynamic city, and also a very important fishing and trading port. And this is Santiago de Compostela, the capital of Galicia, a UNESCO World Heritage Site with one of the oldest universities in Europe. It is also one of the most important pilgrimage centers in the world since the Middle Ages, when the tomb of Apostle St. James was discovered, where pilgrims came to Santiago to venerate the shrine. Also, Santiago is one of the three holy cities of Christianity: Jerusalem in Israel, Rome in Italy, and Santiago de Compostela. It is made of stone, perfectly preserved in granite, and it seems to take us back 500 years to the Middle Ages. We're going to see other tourist attractions besides the destinations, and we're starting from the south, heading north. The Rías Baixas. Here is where the product of Sun Beach has been more developed, because it is the area that receives the highest number of sunshine per year of the whole northern Spain, which is almost like saying of the European Atlantic coast. Here we see the Galician Atlantic Islands National Park. Out of 4 different archipelagos, the Fies is located on the mouth of the Vigo Ria. A 45 minutes boat ride from the city. Is the southernmost and also the most famous. One of the British major newspaper, The Guardian, has recognized twice this as the most beautiful beach in the world. We headed up north to the Costa da Morte, the coast of death, the Atlantic in all its bravery. And I told you about the last wild landscape and beaches of Spain. Why is it called the coast of death? Because it is the coast in the entire world where there have been the greatest number of shipwrecks throughout history. Here, 2 seas come together, the Atlantic Ocean and the Cantabrian Sea, which runs through northern Spain and therefore are very dangerous waters. These are the Rías Altas. They are smaller than the Rías Baixas, as they enter less inland with the highest cliffs of continental Europe, with 600 meters high. This is an ideal place, perfect for surfing as well. A Mariña Lucense, bordering Asturias, with the most famous and most visited beach in Spain. Is it called the Praia das Catedrales in Galician and Cathedrals Beach in English? Because the sea erosion has created these formations that reminds us of the flying buttresses of the Gothic cathedral. We leave the coast and go inland to the Ribeira Sacra, which means the sacred river banks. This is a new destination that is becoming quite famous in Galicia. There are the canyons of two rivers, the Miño River and the Silk River canyons, with vertical slopes up to 300 meters and also navigable by catamaran. Ribeira Sacra has the most important concentration of monasteries, churches, and rural monasteries in Europe. There were about 18 monasteries, of which 7 are still preserved in quite good conditions, and more than 20 Romanesque churches of great value. Now we're going to talk about the heritage. I don't know if you're aware that Spain is the second country in the world in terms of declared heritage, monumental heritage. Galicia is the third region in terms of Spanish heritage. Let's touch first the 5 cathedrals in Ourense, Tui, Lugo, Mondoñedo, and Santiago de Compostela. The predominant styles in Galicia are the Romanesque and Baroque, although we have our own variety, which is called the Galician Baroque. Santiago de Compostela. In this photograph, you see the crown of the jewel of the crown, the cathedral, destination of thousands of pilgrims who, through history, have come to visit the shrine of Apostle St. James. The next product would be the UNESCO World Heritage by the UNESCO. We are going to see the old town of Santiago, which is a perfect medieval city. Remember, granite, a very hard material, very well preserved. Here you see the cathedral, the squares around the cathedral, San Martín Pinario, the old university, the city market. I don't know if you've seen the series Game of Thrones. Well, it could have been filmed perfectly in Santiago. They didn't do it, so they missed it, because practically nothing would have to be changed to be able to film any series set in the Middle Ages. Another World Heritage site is the Way of St. James. Actually, there are many ways. All Europe is crossed by ways. These multiple routes, as they approach Spain, become more and more defined. There are 8 ways. The Northern Way goes along the Cantabric coast, full of mountains. The French Way, which was and still is traveled by most of the people who come to Santiago, where are more the monuments and also the one chosen by the French. The Primitive Way is the first one that existed. These 3 ways that I just mentioned have been declared as World Heritage itineraries by the UNESCO. Then we have the Winter Way, used when the mountains are snow-covered and the passage is difficult. The Silver Way, that follows the route of an old Roman road and comes from southern Spain. The Portuguese Way from Lisbon. The English Way, used by the British and Irish when arriving by boat reaching the port of Ferrol, and then they walked down, walking to Santiago. The route of the sea of Arosa and Ulla River, for those who came by boat from southern Europe. And finally, the Fisterra Muxía Way. Actually, this is the only one that leaves from Santiago. Since the Middle Ages, some of the pilgrims, after arriving in Santiago, they continued to Fisterra Muxía to visit the place where the world supposedly ended. Another World Heritage. This is the Tower of Hercules in A Coruña, the oldest lighthouse in the world that still is in use. Over 2,000 years old, built by the Romans in the 1st century. The Muralla de Lugo, the Roman wall, the best preserved Roman wall in the Roman world from the 3rd century, and more than 2 kilometers surrounding the historical center of Lugo, and you can still walk on top of it. We touch upon the Ribeira Sacra, again because apart from being a tourist destination, it is on the list to be declared as a World Heritage Site. What you see here is San Pedro de Rocas, one of the oldest monasteries in Spain and the oldest one in Galicia. It was built in the 6th century inside of rock. Santo Esteban de Ribas de Sil, a 4-star hotel. Now what you see here is for the production of the wine in the Ribeira Sacra, destination of origin. These are terraces with lots of inclination where the wine grows. It is said that this wine was already exported to Rome in the 1st century of our era. We have another unique thing. These old villages are called castro. Castreso village, Celtic village. The dominant tribes in Spain were the Iberians, as the Iberian Peninsula, but not in Galicia. The tribes that arrived here were of a Celtic origin. In fact, Galicia is one of the 7 Celtic countries in the world, the only one in Spain. It is assumed that there are about 3,000 Celtic villages buried in Galicia, and about 20 of them were excavated, interpreted, and opened to the public. What you see here is a pazo, and it's a Galician word that means small palace. I told you earlier that we were a rural society divided into small territories, and at the head of each territory there was a nobleman, a feudal lord, a marquis, a count, who built their palaces in imitation of those of the Spanish court. Today we still have 700 pazos. Many of them are open to the public, such as museums, accommodations, or within the historical gardens route or the Camellia route. In Galicia, this is called cruceiro, a cross, and it is one of the icons of Galicia. They are all over the territory to protect the walkers. Hórreos, a Galician word for granaries made of different materials and shapes to store and preserve the harvest products. There are about 30,000 hórreos all over Galicia. Here on this map you see the train network, but above all you see the high-speed network. Spain is the second country in the world per kilometer of high-speed rail. In Galicia, we have what is called the Atlantic high-speed train, connecting Santiago de Compostela with the other cities in about half an hour. In 2021, Santiago and Madrid will be a 3.5 hours journey. In this other map, you see the 3 international airports, one in the north, in A Coruña, another in the center, Santiago de Compostela, which is the main one, and another one in the south, in Vigo. And now we're going to touch about the accommodations. We have 55,000 regulated bed places, according to the established law, 8 5-star hotels, and 115 4-star hotels. The Galician administration, that means the government, and much of the private initiative have opted for a particular model. Galicia is not looking for large hotels of international chains. It is looking more for hotels with their own personality, charming hotels, or accommodations in historical buildings, monumental buildings. What you see here is a 5-star hotel in the Rías Baixas. It's at the Gran Hotel La Toja with a natural hot spring waters. And of course, we also have a chain hotel. For example, this 5-star hotel, the NH is in the northern campus of Santiago. The Pazo del Estrobe, near the town of Padrón, this is rather the model that Galicia is betting for. It is to be the palace of the Archbishop of Santiago, converted now into a 4-star hotel. This next one is a Quinta da Auga. Charming hotels like this, the old paper mill on the outskirts of Santiago, a 4-star hotel belonging to the leading hotels of the world. Paradors, well, the well-known Spanish accommodation chain from the beginning of the 20th century, monumental and heritage buildings converted into accommodations. Today, there are over 98 state-owned Paradors hotels, and 13 of those are in Galicia. The most famous one is in Santiago de Compostela, in the Cathedral Square. It is called Hostal dos Reis Católicos because they were the ones who ordered to build at the end of the 15th century, and since then it has functioned as an accommodation. It is considered the oldest hotel in the world with over 500 years of tradition as a hotel facility. We have another category, which are monument hotels, like this one also in Santiago de Compostela near the cathedral. It is staying and sharing the history of a place. Or new formula hotels, bubble hotels to enjoy the starlight, cabins in the forest, 11 different groups of cabins along the Galician coast. We call them cabins, but check on the interior. They look very nice. Hotel Fisterra o Semáforo. And lighthouses, the only region of Spain that offers to sleep inside the lighthouses complexes. This is the Fisterra, but Galicia offers 2 more already and planning on opening more in the near future. Here is a room of the Hotel O Semáforo. This one is Casa de Aldán in Cangas, accommodations in rural areas where the houses have some heritage value. This used to be a salting factory reconverted into a nice rural tourism house. And we're moving on now to something quite important, Galician gastronomy, because it's famous and internationally recognized, both for the quality of the raw material and for the good work of its chefs. You see, for example, the traditional breads, the empanada, which is a pie stuffed with any type of ingredients, vegetable, meats, fish or seafood. It is one of our national dishes in Galicia. The shellfish, the expert scientists say that the shellfish and the fish of Galicia have one of the best qualities in the world because of the cold Atlantic waters with a lot of nutrients and a lot of plankton, which makes shellfish and fish especially tasty. In addition, apart from the seafood and the fish, we have the ports of La Coruña and Vigo, that they are the 2 main fishing ports of the European Union. And we saw before a picture of our empanada, the national dish, and this is another one, the feira style octopus, the traditional way. Just to say that Galicians and Japanese are the largest octopus eaters in the world. You see here meats, especially pork and veal, and the nouvelle cuisine, maintaining the quality of the product. We have right now 12 Michelin star restaurants. About our wines, I must say that there are 5 different destinations of origin in the provinces in southern Galicia. And of course the liquors, which come from the same grape as of our wines. Now we're going to see about the main tourist products that Galicia may offers. The first one is the Way of St. James. I'm going to explain you something that you should know about the Camino, the way. To be a pilgrim, you have to have the category of pilgrim. You have to accomplish with a series of rules. You must walk at least the last 100 kilometers before reaching Santiago, or the last 200 if you do it on horseback or by bicycle. You must carry a passport, not the real passport, but the pilgrim's passport, and every day you get 2, 3, 4 stamps along the way that accredits you as having done the way. Once you arrive in Santiago, you go to with the passport to the pilgrim's office, claiming that you have done the way for spiritual or Christian reasons. The pilgrim's office then issues a certificate called the Compostela. This also allows us to know exactly how many pilgrims come each year. In 2019, we had 327,000 pilgrims. That is, people that have done it at least the last 100 kilometers walking. And from about 180 different nationalities. Every year, this number is growing more and more, and it's already an unstoppable phenomenon. In 2021, we expect more pilgrims than ever. Every year, these tourist products users demand different and new modalities, like staying in rural accommodations, in charming hotels, or in the Paradors luxury hotels. Or also pilgrims who travel through the coast from port to port, and they arrive walking to Santiago de Compostela. Another product would be the lighthouses and wild beaches. Remember that Galicia has the longest coastline of all Spanish regions, 1,400 kilometers, 900 beaches, the last wild beaches in Spain and Europe. These fantastic beaches, virgin beaches, and those 47 lighthouses distributed in strategic places of great beauty. These are itineraries to enjoy nature. The product called Strolling Among Vineyards talks about 5 destinations of origin, wines that were already exported to Rome in the 1st century. These vineyards have been born in the monasteries in the Pathos. This product combines a visit to traditional wineries, to newly designed wineries, with those palaces, monasteries, where all the culture of wine has emerged in Galicia. Here we see the example of one of the wineries in the Rías Baixas destination of origin, which is called Pazo Bayón. I'm going to talk now about the hidden heritage. We relate it with the personality of Galicia. We live spread all over the territory, and throughout history, we have built thousands of structures, churches, bridges, mills, chapels, stone crosses. It is about getting lost in Galicia and discovering all these jewels that they were hiding. And the last product would be the camellia root. The camellia is a flower that it isn't original from Galicia. It is believed that the Portuguese sailors brought it from Japan in the 18th century. But the camellia liked the climate and the Galician soil so much that today we have more than 8,000 different species of camellia, and many already are 100% Galicians. These first specimens were also planted, as it was the case with the wine, in the monasteries and in the Pathos. This product is about visiting the gardens and the monumental buildings that welcome them. Moreover, the camellia has one virtue, that is that it blooms in the winter, from November to April, when in Europe many countries are covered by snow. And with this last photograph, I'll take my leave. This is a very famous place, even though it doesn't look like it. It is called the most beautiful bench in the world, and I'll tell you why. Here are 2 of the things most appreciated by Spaniards and foreigners when they visit us. One is the sunset, for which Galicia is famous, and the other one, hospitality. In tourism, when we survey the visitors and ask them what they like the most in Galicia, the hospitality of the Galicians always appears in the first or the second place on how well we have been treated. Because the Galician people have been forced to travel, to leave Galicia for economic reasons, and when people come to visit us, we like them to feel good about us. This photograph is taken in a place called Loiba, a village on the north coast in the province of A Coruña. Well, a local man from this town, very proud of the sunsets and the cliffs of the place, decided to pay out a bench from his own pocket, so that the future tourist who visited Loiba would enjoy what he saw every day. The bench began to become famous on social network, and today we get thousands of people, of tourists, who come to see it. It's what it's called the most beautiful bench in the world. But the good thing is that this initiative has meant that other individuals and other town halls have begun to install benches for free, so the people who visit them could enjoy the same landscape and the same beautiful things as we, Galicians, enjoy every day. And with this picture, I would like to send you a message. Welcome to Galicia. We'll be delighted to receive you and your clients to enjoy our history, gastronomy, landscape, and heritage as we do every single day of the year. I hope to see you soon, either visiting or making business with us. Hasta pronto!
So thank you, Sandra. Is there another video or film coming now, or do we start with our Q&A already, Judith?
No, let's start with the Q&A.
Okay. Well, it's a lot of items to be discovered. First of all, maybe today, July the 13th, 2021. I don't like to speak about all the carandash color variants, but Galicia is one of the very few regions in Spain today which is orange, if I'm not wrong. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. And we're working very hard on keeping those figures and trying to get them lower, of course. And something that we would like to say and to aware travel agents and operators is that the Galician government has an insurance in case the tourists will get infected of coronavirus. They will be covered by this insurance, if medical-wise, medicines, staying in the hospital or in the hotel if they have to stay with a quarantine. Okay, so and that's covered by the Galician government, and so we would like the people to be aware of this thing.
But last year, of course, the first year of the corona crisis, we had hardly any tourists coming up there. How is it with the Camino? How is it with foreign people? Are they walking? Are they coming? Is the Camino again a little bit more active than last year? Or yeah.
Yes, of course. Last year we hardly had anyone, and now we're getting people every day. Not as many as other normal year, not as many as other holy years, but we do. I think the people doing the Camino were the first ones to use the tourist programs back again. And because of this crisis, normally excuse me, I'm sorry. And the holy year is, as the word it says, is only 1 year, okay? But because of this crisis, the Vatican has decided to let us have another holy year. So it has been extended until the end of 2022. So people can also still come next year and get all the benefits of traveling and doing the Camino in a holy year.
How important is our Belgium-Luxembourg market for Galicia?
I'm sorry, but can you repeat? I couldn't hear you.
How important is our Belgium-Luxembourg market for Galicia?
Of course, it is very important. In figures, we do not have any numbers yet. I don't know if the Spanish Tourist Office has any numbers because it's not as big as we wanted to. Right now, it's when we speak about some of the European regions, the European countries, Belgium and Luxembourg is included on as a whole in the other countries in Europe. Not as, for example, the biggest country that we're getting tourists from is, of course, Portugal, because it's our neighbor, and then France, UK, and Germany. Those are the biggest ones, markets for us.
Cruise ships all over Europe today, before Corona and tomorrow after Corona, they are looking for smaller ports, less over-touristic ports. Do you have berths? Do you have infrastructure in La Coruña and Vigo to receive well
Yes.
cruise ships?
Yes, and not only in those two cities, but also in Ferrol, up in the north, and in Villa Garcia. down in the southern part of Galicia. Yeah, we do.
Is Santiago sometimes not taking too much attention in terms of touristic appeal, while Galicia, as you have demonstrated this morning, has much more to offer than only Santiago de Compostela?
Yeah, because it's, Santiago, it was it's known for hundreds and hundreds of years, and thanks to that, people start getting to know a bit about Galicia as well. So maybe some, people when they get to Galicia, to Santiago, they visit Santiago and the surrounding, but then they come back on a second time and they visit other areas, and that's when they really know and learn about our culture, history, and all the different products we offer.
Vigo, as you mentioned earlier, is an important economic center city in the south of Galicia. Now, when you come in, let's go back to the cruise ships. When you come into Vigo, what are, let's say, the most appealing routes you can do on a day excursion when you come in with a cruise ship in Vigo? What would you recommend?
Well, of course, going up to Pontevedra, which is only 20 minutes away from Santiago, from Vigo up north, and is the second most monumental city within the region. And of course, going to Santiago or going to visit the wineries and the manor houses, the pathos that we were talking about, and the gardens, or going inland into the Ourense area, where they have also, very nice gastronomy, landscape, and cultural places.
You mentioned earlier, or you pointed out, one of the attractions in Galicia is walking amid the vineyards. So Galicia is walking. Camino, 8 ways to come to Santiago, but walking in the vineyards. What do you mean by that? Is it staying? Do you have a kind of, have seen some rural tourism hostels? Can you stay there and then walk around, or is it a specific route, walking among the vineyards?
Well, it's not only walking, but also you can take your own car, you can take a small, short excursion days, and then visit all those places. Yeah.
Of course, Galicia is not flat like Belgium.
No.
But what about the bicycle development? Everybody likes today, certainly in the light of the corona, to be fit, and not only in the fitness hall when it's not closed, but also in the open air. So bicycle routes are provided, bicycles are there?
Yes, we have mountain bike routes with where you can hire the equipment here or within the cities. I must say that the cities in Galicia are not very well prepared because of the way the constructions are. The streets are narrow. They're not cycling cycling areas by the pedestrians walks like you do have in Belgium or in the Netherlands. Okay, it's not the same, but we do have them. Yeah.
Yeah, mentioned 12 Michelin star restaurants in Galicia, which is not bad in comparison, of course, to other regions, but we don't compare it to Belgium, where we are the Valhalla of the Michelin stars. But coming back to gastronomy, the wines, can you pinpoint what are, let's say, the most impressive wines? What do we have to know about the wines? What kind of wine is it? Because you have, of course, Ribera del Duero, you have the Rioja, you have Priorat in Catalonia, but what is famous in Galicia?
Well, the most famous wines here are whites, and they're called Rías Baixas and Alvarinho. Alvarinho is a very fruity type of wine, and I like to say that Alvarinho means two things. Alba, it's a Latin word which is white, And Inyo, it's everything that for the Galician people is something that we really care for and is very dear to us. So it's the grape of the Albarino is very small and white. That's, you know, the meaning of the word. And I must say that this type of wine is being recognized as one of the best in the world. And of course, we do have red wines in the inland. Of course, you know, they're good, but I have to recognize that they're not as good as the what's the name? The Rioja, Ribera del Duero, of course. I mean, there's no comparable, okay? But the wines are very good, and also because of the whites, go very well with the seafood.
You have 3 international airports, of course. In non-corona times, let's say Santiago de Compostela is also a typical route for Belgian carriers. Let it be Brussels Airlines, let it be TUI Fly, let it be other international ones like the Transavias or the Ryanairs of this world.
And
Vueling, of course. But do most tourists come by car because you pass the Pyrenees and then you come into Spain, but it's still a long drive to the corner of Spain? Or do more tourists come by plane?
No, I would say about 62% of our visitors come driving.
By
car.
By car.
Yeah.
By car.
Yeah.
So that means that Galicia, in most of the times, is a part of a larger package, touristic leisure experience. So the people who come to Galicia, but not only to Galicia, they include Galicia in a wider package to visit the area.
Yes, that's right. And, you know, driving, you know, if they come driving, it gives them a better opportunity to explore different things, remote areas, rather than if they come flying.
Okay. 2 personal questions, one for Judith, who is originally coming from Galicia, and you, Sandra. You are, of course, Galician. Yes. Otherwise, you would not be there, the Galicia Tourism Board representing. Let's put it that way. If you would say, if you would have to answer the question to a well-versed traveler, to somebody who has been to Santiago, who knows a little bit of La Coruña, Pontevedra, but what would you advise, knowing that the question is related to somebody who knows Santiago? What kind of area, city, part of Galicia would you discover if I would say I have 2-3 days to spend in an unknown place for me as a traveler in Galicia? What would you recommend?
Well,
okay, go ahead, Judith.
Yeah, for me personally, it's not an area in particular, but it's all the fishing villages of the coast. That's my favorite part of the region.
From the north to the south?
Going from the border with Asturias, which is the neighbor region, and going back down to the border with Portugal. And there you enjoy like an amazing landscape, the changes of the coast from the north and the south of the region, and the gastronomy from the sea, of course. So for me, the fishing villages, it's my favorite part, personally.
Okay, Sandra?
And for me, is the inland. The area I mentioned on the presentation called Ribeira Sacra, in the province, between the provinces of Lugo and Ourense. Because of the landscape, the ruins that you can find going into the forest, and you know, the hiding places. I like very much that area, although I come from the coast, and okay. I love the sea.
Galicia is part of what we call España Verde, so the green Spain. It is with thousands of kilometers of coastline, wild or beaches. So the question arises automatically. What is the best time of year to come to visit Galicia?
You know, it varies so much. I mean, the climatology is changing all over right now. And we used to say, there's an old saying in the Galicians that says, it rains in April, in May, but it doesn't rain the rest of the year. But it's not true anymore. This past June it was beautiful. July has been terrible. We have 1 week of rain and 5 days very hot. It varies so much. But to myself, the best months are June, because the days are very long, short nights, and then September. To myself, those are the best ones.
Okay. I would say that we have really discovered a province which is not so well known to all of us, except of course the historic Santiago de Compostela. If there are no other questions for the time being, I would like to summarize and to wrap up a little bit what we heard this morning. Bearing in mind that Galicia is orange today, with some other Castilla and Leon, I think. But anyhow,
Castilla-La Mancha.
And La Mancha, Castilla and La Mancha. It's a place you have to like to go, because it's difficult to reach, and as such, being part of Green Spain, the northwest corner, it's full of water, rivers, fishing, wild coast, beaches, 900 beaches, and the wild coast and fjords are almost like in Norway. We learned a lot about the difference between rios and rias, which I did not know. Of course, we have then concentrated a little bit our attention next to Coruña and Vigo to Santiago de Compostela with the heritage, but Galicia has more than that, 18 monasteries, more than 20 monumental churches, the second country in the world with most important monuments, 8 ways to reach Santiago, but it's full of historic villages still to be excavated in the future. It's 3 airports, it counts 3 airports. It, of course, has also at the disposal the AVE, the high-speed train, which will be developed in the coming years with an impressive hotel variation from 5-star hotels to hostels, agriturismo, chain hotels, rural tourism, paradores, 12 Michelin stars. It's really impressive next to all the pinchos and the tapas and of course the empanada. But well, and the good ones, the Alvarinho. So I would say let's all go tomorrow to Galicia. I would say, Sandra, thank you very much on behalf of Travel Magazine, Jonas and myself, and Judith from Turespaña. To all the panelists who are still there and have followed us among all these months. And today, it's not a quantity present, the panelists, but it is an absolute quality. So thank you all panelists for joining us, and we see and hear each other back after summer. Have a safe summer, and our next webinar will be La Rioja, and we start autumn on September the 20th at 11 o'clock for our next series of webinars with Turespaña. Muchas gracias, señoras, señores. Buenos días y buen verano.
Thank you to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Thank you.